program dedicated to providing great information, motivational information. We believe in education, uplifting, and inspiring, and also bringing out information that you don't receive on mainstream media. And check us out 24 hours a day for other broadcasts that you may find interesting: music, talk, sports, comedy, entertainment, and a whole lot more. And I see, let's go on, let's do this right now. I see on the set there, I see my brother Clayton Brown. I
Good
see.
evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, brother. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm doing great, man. Just finished a great conversation earlier. We had, it's a brand new show that we started called Money Talk. Money Talk, and we talk about how to grow your portfolio using safe and sound financial principles. And we had a gentleman on a little bit earlier. His name is Mr. Kerwin Phillip, and Kerwin Phillip, what an incredible guy! He is a uh, financial literacy advocate. And he deals with a lot of young people from the age of 5 to the age of 7. And we're talking about our young entrepreneurs. Just a fascinating thing. And it's going on right here in the Richmond area. I see Tanisha Holmes. Hey, Tanisha.
Hey everyone.
Hello, sister.
All
Hey.
right.
Hello.
Hola.
And I see our special guest, Mr. Johnny Gilliam. And
Good
I
evening.
expect Brother Robert Hicks, he should be joining us. Robert, I'm sorry, Mark Daniels. He's also a good friend of mine. Also, he's a Navy veteran, and he's traveling right now. He's trying to get on. But we're gonna kick this thing off. And Mr. Johnny Gilliam, thank you so much for coming on this broadcast. Really appreciate your time and effort to do so. And we want you to introduce yourself because we understand that you are a Marine veteran.
Yes, I am. My name is Johnny Gilliam. I'm a Desert Storm, Desert Shield Marine Corps veteran. I did four years active in the Marine Corps, and I did 6 in the reserves at the supply unit in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Thank you so much for that. And so, also, the focus of this program here is we want to talk about veteran affairs and maximizing veteran benefits. And my brother Clayton Brown, he's an Air Force veteran, I believe, a 24 years Master Sergeant. Is that correct, Clayton?
That is absolutely correct. My name is Clayton Brown. I'm also a fellowman of Group 5 Group Social Fellowship Incorporated. I served the Air Force for 24 consecutive years, and I retired in 2008.
Okay. And now, Sister Tanisha Holmes, thank you so much for introducing us to Brother Johnny Gilliam. Johnny,
Oh,
before we go to Tanisha, what was
it
your rank?
seems to be buffering.
I'm buffering.
Um, I got out of active
Everybody
duty.
seems to be buffering a little bit. The connectivity is kind of weak. I don't know if it's on my end.
It's a storm. We have Burrow's on the way. That's what it is.
Okay, well, that could be it because I'm hearing you guys on time here.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
it seems to be
Okay.
coming through here on time. So, and but anyway, you introduced us to Brother Gilliam, and you chose him for a reason.
I did because I love his story and I love his motivation. I mean, the thing that stuck out with me, the fact that he was in infantry in the Desert Storm, and he told me about, when people will send his family members will send things over to the troops, and that his grandmother will send him like a canteen with cookies or something like that in there. Is that correct, Johnny?
That's correct.
And the story was just so inspiring. Like, they would call what they call you something neat, clean, something, because he's real meticulous and real clean. And he was, when he's in the desert or in the warfare, he actually took the canteen from the canteen and used it to, you don't want to get too detailed, but it was
Hygiene. Yeah,
he was real clean.
I used it for hygiene. Yes, I was in the infantry, but one of my disabilities, I guess you can say, I have OCD. So
Yes.
I'm very neat.
Ye-
Uh,
ye-
even though I was in the desert, sandy,
Yeah.
gritty place, I just had to have some good old hygiene. So,
Yeah, and he has a little PT. He's got he's like you say OCD from all of that, and that just was inspired the fact that he was able to take something like a simple can with cookies in it and use that to be able to keep himself clean, wash up, whatever. And I will never forget that story, because, being in an environment like that, knowing that you're in an environment that you don't have fresh running water, that could put a toll on your mind, a toll on your spirit, as far as even just the fact of just being in the elements of not necessarily like in a filthy place, just not being able to have access to fresh water, running water on a regular basis. And he took something so simple like that, a gift of love from his grandmother, to use it to be able to bring back, refreshing memories or hygienic memories of being able to be in like civilization, in my opinion.
Clayton was telling me
Great.
also now over there in Desert Storm. Not only did you have to deal with that, but also the heat over there. And we complained over here; it gets 100 degrees. When I was in
Uh-huh.
California, it would be like 105, 110 for 2 weeks in a row. But Clayton was telling me some stories how I get up to the 120s there. And
That is
are
correct.
we talking about the basic same area, Clayton and Johnny?
Yes,
I don't know if Johnny. Go ahead, Johnny.
yeah. I started out in Saudi Arabia, and then I went from there. We went all the way into Kuwait City.
Amazing. My
Okay,
granddaughter was
to
stationed.
to answer your question though, William, yes, it did reach 120 plus. Sometimes the thermometer just wouldn't register how hot it was, and my particular AFSC, which was Air Force Specialty Code, was civil engineering. We built bases out
Mm-hmm.
there in that heat, so I
Hmm.
was quickly climatized to the elements. And thank you for your service there, Johnny,
Yeah.
for what you've done, and we appreciate that. But on the other side, we did the same and working out in that extreme heat. But after a while, you got used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
What about the insects? Don't you think
you
sand
say
mites
so.
or stuff?
Hey,
What about the
Like
bugs and the sand mites or something like that, right?
well,
Isn't there something
let me
like
tell
that
you,
too?
I was
Johnny?
in Southern
Wait.
California for
Uh
30 years.
huh.
And like I said, it would go weeks and weeks and weeks. That mean 100 degrees. I never got used to it. So you're a better
Yeah.
man than me.
Mhm.
Let's welcome our brother, Robert Hicks. Hey, Robert.
Good evening. Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight?
Doing great. Doing
greetings,
great.
brother Robert.
Yes, yes. I want to say thank you again for your service through our country and make sure to protect the freedoms that we enjoy here for now, at least, seeing the situation that's been
Yeah.
going on. If you're not in the news, or people, if you have out there in radio land, if you haven't seen the news lately, you definitely need to tune in, especially this close to the upcoming election. But I would say that a lot of things in this country would not be possible without the servicemen and women who put their lives on the line each and every day. And for those who have served, and your work has not been gone unnoticed, it has gone noticed. And we
Hmm.
definitely appreciate it every single day.
Okay. I want
um,
to ask. Yeah, go on,
You
Robert. I'm sorry.
you're welcome, brother.
yeah, that was my comment. I have some other other questions a little bit later on, but
Okay, great.
turn
And
it
I'm
over.
gonna let I want Tanisha and Clayton to kind of head this up a little bit and head this up right and sort of moderate a little bit because I understand Tanisha, if I understand correctly, if memory serves me correctly, or rather, you were telling me that you work with veterans now, securing and obtaining housing.
Oh yeah.
Is that okay? Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about that, and then let's talk to Clayton and Johnny about those benefits that other veterans can get. Some may not be aware of what's available to them, and that's the purpose of this program today to let our veterans know that there are programs out there that can assist them in whatever they're going through or whatever assistance they need. However, we need and they need the information. So that's the purpose of this show. So Tanisha, tell us a little bit about what you spoke to me today about securing housing for veterans, like
Well,
buying homes.
first you got to make sure you qualify, because a lot of people think because I went to the military and they went through basic training. You have to be in the military for what, 160 days, correct, Johnny, in order to get your DD 214 to get the clearance for the certificate for housing to be able to get the VA loan. I believe it's
That's
160 days, right?
that's correct.
Yeah, so a lot of people think, oh, I went through basic training. I went through all these things like that, and I should be able to qualify for a house. No, that's not correct. You have to at least serve at least 4 months to be in the service, or serve at least 4 months in the military to be able to qualify for that. when you, a lot of times when people do a VA loan, they think, oh, 100% financing. Yeah, it's 100% financing, but however, you have you have to pay for your closing costs, and of course, a real estate agent like myself would negotiate that for you too. But it's not necessarily 100% because there are some fees associated with it too as well. Um, so you have like a VA. You have when you do a VA, there is a fee that's 2.5. It actually goes up each time that you actually do a VA loan. So when you do your initial VA loan or purchase, it's going to be running about 2.5 the purchase contract, and then if you decide to buy another house, it'll go up to 3.5. You know what I'm talking about, Johnny? Johnny?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure I'm all right. Make sure I'm correct. But also, too, a lot of veterans don't realize if you're a first-time home buyer, you can actually layer your loan too with your VA. You can layer it with down payment assistance programs such as a North Carolina Housing, which is up to $15,000, or a CPLP. Now, there are income requirements when it comes to things like that, and household requirements. If you no more than $120,000, no more than $109,000. A lot of times people, when they think they're going to go do a VA loan, they want to do a VA loan, they want to assume somebody else's rate. You can do that. But say, for instance, if the house is, the loan's going to be, that you're going to assume is going to be $200,000, and the person actually wants $400,000, you're going to have to cover that $200,000. Either you have to get a loan or you're going to have to get a second mortgage. A lot of times veterans don't understand that either.
That is true.
Are you all following me?
Yes.
Follow you loud and clear.
Well, yes.
Okay.
You mentioned somebody. Is it a TPLP?
It's CPL, so it's all different kind. It just depends on which county or which state you're in. But there's a lot of money that's been given out there with federal grants and things. So a lot of times veterans just think, oh, I'm just going to get a VA loan. Okay, VA loan's fine. But if you're a first-time home buyer, you also qualify for other grants. There's CPLP loan, which is a city grant within North Carolina. If you have to live in certain areas or certain zip codes where they give you up to $100,000, some is $50,000 to $100,000. My favorite, like I mentioned, is North Carolina Housing, which is up to $15,000. There's some that's $8,000. Greensboro has a grant that's up to like $10,000. But you have to be a first-time home buyer, and you can layer it. You can combine it with your VA loan too as well, and it can cover some of those expenses, such as the fees that are associated with the VA loan, the 2.5 VA fee.
That's fascinating. Well, Clayton, I know for a fact that he's purchased several homes, and he can talk about that as well. But I want to introduce to the set a great friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, Dr. Reverend Rudolph Demery. And Dr. Demery, he served, I don't know how many years did you serve in the Navy, Dr. Demery? And you were also a Navy chaplain.
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah. 27 years, but I got 30 years credit on the books.
All
How
right.
did you get?
Thank you for that.
Well, hold it. How did you add an extra 3 years? How did you do
Well,
that?
because they had an early out program, and they said if you get out now, we'll give you credit for 30 years. So I said, hey,
Wow.
all I saw was my elbows and my backside.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah,
What you
yeah.
say? All they saw were your elbows and your backside.
That's right.
Well, welcome to the set. Yeah, meet my swing sister, Tanisha Holmes. There's brother Robert Hicks. He's on the panel. We've got brother Johnny Gilliam. This is the first time he's been on, and our regular brother Clayton Brown, Master Sergeant Clayton Brown. And so we want to talk about veterans affairs, and veterans benefits. And there's a little more important to a veteran than, well, there are two things that I see. Number one, health benefits and housing benefits. Those are two things that strike, in my opinion. That's vitally important. Would you guys disagree with that?
They are two of the top ones, I would say.
Okay, well, name some others. If
Well,
you
you
would.
have your
Oh boy, his Wi-Fi went out on him. Okay, brother Gilliam.
So your third one would be your VA disability benefits, meaning if you got injured at any time in the military and you got proof of it, you can file a claim with Veterans Affairs, and you can get compensated for your disability. So you can go from 0% to 100% disability.
Yeah, we want to talk about that because brother Mark Daniels, who is a regular on the panel here also, he talked about his dad was only getting 10%
Mhm.
of his benefits. And he looked into it and said, no, this isn't right. And he was able to get him up to 60, and he's still working to get it higher. And I can understand it's a process. Would you say, what is it that's certain? And Dr. Demery, I want you to jump in here on this also. What is it that a lot of veterans are missing? Or why isn't this information more prevalent for them, or accessible to them? Okay. Dr. Demery, why are the veterans not aware of these types of things? And is there a someone you can go to that says, or a counselor, so to speak, to guide you through these things? Is there an advocate for our veterans that says, hey, I need this information, and is there someone that can help them navigate through the process?
Well, I would say there's several places to start. In my experience, I'm 100% disability. I'm 100% service connected. So one of the places you can start, and the panel probably knows other ways that I don't know, but what I did was I used one of the VA social workers to
Mhm.
help walk me through the process. And she basically took my case on and walked me all the way through the process because I was already 100%. But I've got, I mean, so many other benefits. I mean, they got me a vehicle, they redid my house, I got a wheelchair. I mean, I can't tell you all the stuff that they've done for me, but you need to get an advocate that can guide you through the process because there's a board that meets, a national board that meets, and they're the one that determine your service connectedness. They're the ones that determine what your benefits are, all the things that you can get, and it's a process. But I often say that the VA system is like a sleeping dragon. You can walk around it, but once you awaken it, it really works for you. But you got to wake it up and get it to work for you. And unfortunately, a lot of people walk around it and it's still sleeping. And
Mhm.
so I think you need to get someone to advocate on your behalf. And I happened to get a really good social worker, and she was very good. She walked me through the whole process, saw my whole case all the way through to the end. And I mean, I know some people have bad experiences with the VA, and I understand that. But I can tell you, they've treated me like a king. Now, one other thing I want to say, this may offend some people. I don't mean to offend anybody, but I know one of the reasons why I was able to get things through because I was an officer. When you're enlisted, it's a little more difficult. Why that is, I don't know because the enlisted basically run the military. If it wasn't for them, there would probably be no military. So that is something that I want to say and make a comment on, and the rest of the panel can maybe comment and maybe give their input. But I think you need to get an advocate, whether that be a social worker or somebody that you may know in the system that works in the system and can basically guide you through it, help you with any paperwork that you may have. And it makes the process so much easier when you have an advocate.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to toss it over to Clayton right now. And Dr. Demery talks about an advocate for you. Now, having said this, and what you said wasn't offensive at all. It's
Mm-mm.
probably just factual that the officers get preferential treatment, and that's just a fact of life. So I don't find anything offensive about that. So Clayton, Dr. Demery said a lot, and my question was, and I didn't use the word advocate. I don't believe I used that, but I was looking at someone that the veterans can go to get the assistance that they deserve. So the question is that if they had an advocate, would there be as much homelessness in our veteran community?
Yeah.
Well, I can say this: it advocate does help you, whether you can
Mhm.
use a DAV rep, or you can use one of the veterans at the Veterans Affairs hospital
Mhm.
to do the paperwork for you. And what you do, you pretty much sign over like a power of attorney to them, where they can look into your records. They can also speak on your behalf. They can also put in your claims and again. But it took me a while, just like the doctor said. It depends on who you are sometimes. That's an ugly thing to have to say, but I've had some friends that was of a different shade, and they had their disability ratings raised up a lot quicker than mine. It took me to have a major operation before they seriously looked at me to get me my top percentage. I fought, I fought, I fought. I cried, I cried, I cried. Ouch, hey, I'm hurting. But they would sometimes say, well, is it service connected? You doggone straight is service connected.
Absolutely.
I wasn't like this when I first started.
Hmm.
Right.
You know, hey,
And
escalate as time goes on. So one thing may look one way, by the time you get to a certain age, it could come into something
hmm
totally different.
Mm-hmm.
What was that you were about to say, sister?
well, I think they focus too much on the physical and not look at the mental. I think that's really where it boils down to, in my
A
opinion,
lot of
what I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
that's absolutely right.
Yeah, because it's
Go
more.
ahead, finish the statement.
Because it's more of a mental turmoil to be able to have something play through your head all the time. That's suffer more than just anything else from the physical attributes of it. That's how I look at it. So I hate that they always kind of like misdiagnose or overlook that, because like you say, you had to go get surgery done. Why you have to go through those extents to go through that extreme to go get surgery done when you were over in the desert storm? That already tells you right there you already qualify for some type of benefits already versus you have to go get surgery done, in my opinion. That's just how I look at it. I mean, I don't
That
want to rub it
that
out.
is that is true, and I think a lot of it come down to what your job was as well.
Okay.
Let me give you a little bit before I get cut off because my machine seems to be buffering a lot. Um, they call us now. I'm Air Force,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the service members they would look at us and say, "Hey, you was a chair force." They try to joke around
Mm-hmm.
and not realizing I did more work than a lot of branches, a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first went into the military, I was a heavy construction. I was
Mm-hmm.
a I was a ground pavements troop. Now, for the people that's in the Navy and the Marines, they know about the CBs,
What's that?
You
option
see
group,
me?
heavy construction. And I mean, those boys can move. And on the Air Force side, we was prime beef, red horse. We was equivalent to the CBs. And when you were at my retirement, William,
Yes, I
when we
was.
went in, we would have a naked base, and by the time that day was over, you had a base,
Wow.
a livable base. And I mean, I would go home and I was broke down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, asphalt, concrete, dirt all over me. I ran a bulldozer, an excavator, a front end loader, every piece of heavy equipment that you can name. I ran it. But see, when people see Air Force, they think we were all about flying.
Mm-hmm.
The airstrip, if that airstrip got blown up,
You guys had to come in.
excuse me.
No, you're buffering a little bit. So
Okay.
yeah. No, no, you good. You're good. Continue.
So they didn't understand the magnitude of what we had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
If an airstrip got blown up, we had to go out there and repair it and make sure that aircraft took off and landed. So
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
that was me. So through that time of 24 years, it took its toll on me. And then I retrained into another field, which was multimedia graphics. And I'm at a computer leaning over top of a screen all day long. So my body went from one extreme to another.
Mm-hmm.
I said all that to say this: those doctors that they send you to,
Mm-hmm.
they try to look at you from outside looking in and don't realize the pain that you had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sister was saying, the mental part of it. I went through so much pain at times. My wife would come in a room and see me had tears streaming down my eyes because I was in that kind of a pain.
Mm-hmm.
I could not drive my vehicle without holding my arm up over top of my head because that nerve pain was excruciating.
Oh
Okay.
wow. Mm-hmm.
My neurologist told me, my neurosurgeon told me, don't get surgery on your back or your neck until it gets to a point where you can't take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. the reason why I ended up getting that surgery last year. So they recognize the fact is
Okay, he's buffering. Let's go to Johnny. Johnny, right now, can you tell us a little bit about your experiences here?
Um, to add to what Mr. Rudolph said, you also can go to the DAV or American Legion
Mm-hmm.
to get help with your benefits. Now, I got out in '92. It took me
Mhm.
from '92 to 2002 to get 10%.
Wow.
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 So, so I'm from a small town, so they were sending me to, country doctors. Of course, they were not of color, so they weren't really trying to really hear anything I had to say. So, you
Mhm.
know, in I think it was 2001, I ended up going to Virginia Beach and to a doctor, and to get 10%, this is what I had to say. I had to say, it doesn't make any sense for a person to go into service, get injured, and not be able to get any benefits. So she said, Mr. Gilliam, so she said, you're exactly right. But the thing with the Veterans Affairs is you have to be persistent, meaning if you get turned down a claim, in which they will turn you down sometime, don't give up. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. And the thing is, too, for me, I was told never to appeal a claim because it takes 2 years and it has to go to DC. So the best way when you're doing a claim and you get turned down, put in for reconsideration
Yeah.
and gather more evidence. And the
Mm.
main thing is to go to your doctors, get your paperwork, get your service record book, because everything that from the time you went in to the time you got out is in your service record book and your medical record book. Um,
Mm,
and so I was one of those veterans. You asked about why there's so much homelessness. See, what happens is, and which I have talked to some veterans, stop, and they say, they just gave up. They got
Wow.
tired of, dealing with the VA because it could be very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you just have to be persistent. And on the mental aspect is what people don't understand is, you know, when you diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, okay, post-traumatic stress disorder meaning that you experience something traumatic.
Mhm.
So you could go on for years and years and not even think about it, and then all of a sudden you start coming up with like IBS,
What's
Fauci.
that?
IBS is irritable bowel
no bowel
syndrome,
syndrome.
where
Okay.
you either
Mm-hmm.
constipated or you diarrhea,
Mm-hmm.
or fibromyalgia, which is chronic nerve pains, which feels
Mm.
like needles are being stuck in your body. Um, could cause you to have headaches, high blood pressure, dizziness, all sorts of things come from just post-traumatic stress disorder. And also being in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, we was exposed to so many different elements and chemicals. They're still coming up with different stuff that's possible that we could, be affected from years to come. So
Mm. Mm. You know, it's a
That is
shame.
true.
Let me just say this real quick. And if you have anything else to say, John, please won't you jump in there. But I have a question for you. You said what was it? You got out in 1992,
I got out in '92, yes, sir.
and it took until 2002 for you to get 10%.
2002.
That is
Okay,
crazy.
and now it's 22 years later. Have that increased?
Okay, so what happened? A friend of a friend knew someone that used to work in the VA in DC. So I,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going to Maryland, and um, I was blessed because one thing I did do before I got out, my platoon commander, he let me make copies of my medical records and
Okay.
my service record book, and he signed on every page. So that really helped me out a lot. So I
Mm-hmm.
went from 10% from, so I skipped from 2002. I didn't put back in till 2014. So in 2015, I went to 70. 2017, I went to 80.
Uh-huh.
2018, I went to 90. And 2019, I finally got 100%. permanent total.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you
And that
deserve
was something that
yeah.
you knew that was wrong going back some 20, 30 years or so, and it taking them this long. It shouldn't, Robert. It shouldn't take that long for veterans, especially now. Tanisha mentioned something about look at where you served. Look at what you
Right.
had. Look at my brother Clayton. Look at the
Yeah.
toll that it took on his body.
Mm-hmm.
He got injured before. I know for a fact he got injured before he came out of the military. When he was running those that heavy equipment and things of that nature, that has to take toll on anybody's body. And connecting what you said, they take the mental and the physical.
Yeah.
Right now, you would think that the most powerful military in the world should have gotten it right for our veterans. That it has to be traumatic. A lot of you guys go out there and you are hearing loud noises all the time, whether it's bombs, whether it's airplanes, whether it's this going off and that going off, and the stress, the toil. Getting up early in the morning. When you
Mm.
come home and you're exhausted, your body's broken down, and they've got to take both of them into account. Robert,
Exactly.
it makes no sense to me. Go ahead, brother.
And also with a few of the injuries and some of the issues that um, the military go through, it in some cases the added environment just exacerbates everything that you're going on to. So it's multiplied at least by 10, 15 times, much more. Um, but I wanted to ask about during the times, especially now that you're out of the military as veterans now, what are some of the things that you do to make things a little easier in regards to your mental state, your physical state, your emotional states? So you don't have a lot of these reoccurrences, say, for instance, of reoccurrences of fears and emotions.
Well, if I can chime in, like I said, my computer is not as robust as it used to be. But if I can chime in on that, right now I'm starting to help with, and what that is combat recovery,
Mm.
and it's international wide. It's almost like it's counseling and one of those mental health type of courses that we go through. It's 11 weeks long. I went through it last year, and they asking me to help out to teach the course this coming fall.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets kind of sticky. It gets down into the weeds. What's going on with you? So basically, it's one of those you have to really come to grips of what's bothering you. We talk about PTSD. We talk about all the mental health issues that a service member did go through and going through to this day. I thought I was okay
Mm-hmm.
until some of these things started slapping me in my face that I wasn't okay. I wasn't that man that I was at one time. Of course, you start to retire and you start to really get a good look at who you are, because when you're working, you don't have time to think about self. But once you settle down and start to really looking at life, and it start to reflecting back, and you're not that man or that woman that you once was, and you start questioning yourself, uh, it takes its toll. The pain and the agony and your body start to taking its toll, and you start to uh, mentally dwindling away in a sense until you reach out for that help.
Mm-hmm.
And you all right. Let's start to looking at life a little bit differently than when you was when you were working. So I myself try to help out others, Robert,
Mm.
um, as a president of our chapter, my chapter, and also a service member that some of the other service members started asking Clayton, what do you do? And when I'm helping somebody else, it helps me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's the spiritual part of me. God tells me what I have is not for me to keep.
That's right.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's meant for me to go out there and help somebody, lift somebody else up. and you'll start forgetting about all my your own worries. Okay, so that's my 2 cents, brother.
Absolutely. And it's good that you have recognized what the issues that you were going through and worked through them. But now also you can help, you're helping out others who might not be able to know all the tools or basically know the ways to be able to get through a lot of these issues. And that's definitely a pat on the back and a hand clap for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes. And if anybody, I say for instance, is there a program that people can learn more about, or where, like a website or a phone number to get in contact, just in case?
The reboot program, I do have my book somewhere. I did not have it readily available in front of me, but have one of the other brothers speak, and I'll look for it and get you that information really quick. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, I want to say that with Dr. Demery and um, Gilliam, what do you do mostly when it comes down to making sure that your mental state, your emotional state, and your physical state are all in alignment and on one accord and at peace? Now that you've gotten out of the military, in a sense, of becoming a veteran.
Yeah. Dr. Demery? Dr. Demery.
Well, one of the things that works very well for me, I mean, I pastor a church, so I preach every Sunday. So I have to be on point. I mean, sometimes I'm like Biden, I have a bad night, I have a bad day. But for the most part, I try to, give a suitable verbal offering to God's people every Sunday.
Mhm.
And those who are preachers know this to be true. So
Mm-hmm.
that also causes me to keep myself together and to keep myself acquainted with the holy. I think that's one of the things that's important. And, I think I work with a program that some of you may have heard of. It's called the Wounded Warrior Program. And that
Mhm.
it's kind of a special program for those who were wounded in combat. I mean, I crashed in a helicopter
Wow.
outside of Fallujah. We took a SAM in our helicopter. Two people died, and me and the crew chief are the only ones that survived.
Mm.
So I
Wow.
turned that into a positive thing and said, "Well, Lord, there must be something else for me to do. I'm still
Mm-hmm.
here."
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the thing is, the trauma that can happen because of that. Because when we went into Kuwait City, I was with the first unit because Navy chaplains have to serve the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Coast Guard, and the Merchant Marine, and the
Mm,
Seabees. So I wore four different uniforms when I was on active duty. And I think the thing that can be helpful is, first of all, I think you have to do some soul searching. And like the brother was saying a moment ago, one of the things that is key is you never give up. And
Mhm.
you have to also self advocate for yourself. Because I remember when we were in the Gulf, they wanted us to get this shot that was the Gulf War syndrome. Some of you who were over there knew what that was like. And I went to one of the doctors. I was close with one of the doctors. And I said, "Well, Doc, I see everybody else taking this shot. How come you ain't taking it?" Because he
Mm.
said it ain't been proven
mm,
yet. So I
Mm.
didn't take the shot. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of times you have to self advocate for yourself. And like I said, like the brother was saying, never give up.
Mm.
Keep on fighting till there's nothing left in you to fight.
Mhm.
The scriptures tell us to continue to fight the good fight.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the things that helps me keep going is I'm involved with the Wounded Warrior Program, and I get a chance to sit down and talk to other vets, those that were wounded in combat. And like me, I'm a part of a program, those of us who are paralyzed, in wheelchairs, we get together and we self advocate and help each other and
Mm.
encourage each other mentally, spiritually, in the ways that we can. And so I think that is a foundation that you have to lay down to do some groundwork, do some soul searching, and say, well, Lord, why am I doing this? One, because you earned it. Number two, you deserve it. And number three, the government owes that to you. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think once you begin to use those as forces for self advocating, then you get empowered. Obviously, the spirit empowers us and all of that, but that you get the government to work with you. And sometimes that's difficult. I'm not going to say it's easy sometimes, but if you adapt the attitude of never giving up, being self-advocating, and being one who gets involved, like the brother was saying before. I do this, helping others. Because as a preacher, I do that every Sunday. I help others with understanding God's word and applying it in their lives. So
Mhm.
I think when you and Wilma will tell you, if you come to my church, I'm gonna feed. I'm gonna take care. I'm gonna give you some clothes. I'm gonna put clothes on your back. I'm gonna put some food in your belly, because that's what God tells us to do, to love your neighbor. And who's your neighbor? Well, I'll let you guys define that. But the point being, I think once you begin to gain a positive attitude in the midst of some of the negative things that have happened, I mean, I feel, just compassion for the brothers that have gone through, and sisters as well, who've gone through some of the difficulties in trying to get their percentage rating higher than it is, and it's difficult sometimes. But I would say that if you hang in there, if you're diligent, almost persistent to the point where you become a pet, that they will listen to you sooner or later. And I know that makes sound, I don't mean it to sound negative, but I think you have to self advocate. You have to be empowered by God to lift you up when you get down and discouraged, when those things just seem to overwhelm you and the load seems to be so heavy. I think you can get through it as long as you keep on keeping on, and be empowered. Because I don't mean to start preaching now. We can do all things through Christ who empowers us. And I think once you begin to adopt that, God will stand with you. He will
Mm-hmm.
stand by you,
Mhm.
and God will empower you,
Mm.
because Jesus said, "I died for this very thing that you are going through."
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll shut up, because William knows I'll start preaching if you drop a pin. I'm
Dr.
sorry.
Dimmer,
I'm
That's
a
very
preacher.
good.
I can't take that out of my nature. I mean, that's what I am. So that's
Dr.
my
Dimmer,
comment, sir.
matter of fact, Dr. Dimmer, he also, if you will hear Dr. Dimmer, come on our Boomerang radio show on Sundays. Which, and I'm thinking, Clayton know this about me. He's been knowing me all his life. Is that when I come up with an idea, sometimes I'm spontaneous with it. A lot of times, Tanisha said that Robert would tell you, look, if I think of something and I say seems like a good thing to do, I think about it a little bit, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
I Yeah, because to me, procrastination is a killer.
Mm-hmm.
And this program right here, I've never been in the military. And however, if I at the time it was a draft, and then they came up, they got away with the draft and they did the lottery. And I said, if they try to draft me through the lottery, then I'm going to join the Air Force. Okay, I just love the Air Force. But anyway, these types of programs, this is so important to me. I'm going to have Tanisha and Robert. I'm going to have this and ask these three gentlemen come on my Boomerang radio show one Sunday, because somebody needs to speak up for those veterans that don't know how to, or have given up or whatever, to speak up for them. And this is so vitally important. These gentlemen, they put their life on the line for us. There should not be a homeless veteran in America.
Agree.
And I understand the frustration of Brother Johnny. I believe Brother Johnny said this, is that so many, they give up because the system is structured the way it is, isn't working for a lot of them. But what I also heard, it depends on what area you're in, not only who you are, and who is advocating for you. Some of these places, they don't have an advocate or even know that they can get one, or the advocate that they have is no good. It's just like life,
That's
folks.
That
You
is
can get a
true.
good doctor or you can get a bad doctor. You can get a good engineer or a bad engineer. You can get a good or bad anything. And let's say, and the military is no different. Let's say you got 50 states here, okay, and you have a Veterans Affairs organization or a VA or whatever it is in each state. We all know that all states aren't made equal. We all already know that everybody that holds a position, whether in Alabama, Utah, wherever it is, they are not equal either. You might have some that have their own biases or own prejudices. And also, they may not look out for people like us. So let's be real about this. Like you gentlemen, Johnny, it seems like you went through a lot, and took way too long. Now, do they give you back pay? No, or do they?
Yeah, they backdate you from the date that you put in for your claim. So
Yeah.
whenever that rating comes through, you get back pay for that. And
Good. Good. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. But Clayton, let me ask you a question. I want you to share on this. I can't believe, man, we got 14 minutes left to go. This is such an interesting show. I would just love to do a part two of this on this platform, and we'll figure something else about that because I don't think that you can get all the information out in an hour. And then we have a few other veterans that wanted to come on, but they couldn't make it for whatever reason. But we want to also we get the information out that there might be some veterans listening to us right now and says, well, you know what? I'm one of those that gave up, or I'm one of those that didn't have a good advocate. And Johnny, it's my understanding that you had to go out of town to find someone would that was willing to help you. Am I right about that?
yeah, I had to go all the way up to Maryland. So, but like Clayton, Um, I've tried now. If I see a veteran, one of the first things I ask them, "Are you getting your benefits?" If they say no, I try to point them into the right direction on how to get their benefits.
I love
Yes.
it.
And also as a veteran, and I don't know whether these brothers know or not, but if you're getting benefits and you can't work, you also can apply for your social security disability benefits as well before the normal age 62. But if
Wow,
you're a veteran, you can't work, you can apply for your social security disability.
that's pretty amazing stuff. That is pretty amazing
And there's
stuff.
also what they call unemployability uh,
Right.
benefits as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many ways out there that they can get benefits, but like the brothers been saying, both of them stop. Don't stop pursuing because a lot of the veterans they just don't do it. They don't know what's out there, but it's out there. Go to
Yeah.
VA, go to va.gov, and they will tell you from point A to point B what you can get, what you can't get, what your criteria is, and it must have that
Hmm.
foremost that tells you that you completed a certain amount of time in the military. That's one
Right.
of your must-haves. Okay,
Yeah, DD two
and
fourteen. Mm-hmm.
DD
Well,
two
you know,
fourteen,
Yeah.
right,
and
right.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's
Clayton,
education benefits out there. Excuse me.
no, 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 no. Continue. You just buffered a little bit. So let me
Yeah.
get this
Yeah.
question real quick. And I want to drive this point home. It's not you have to have the right advocate, but there are programs out there, and I think what you were saying, or what I gather, is that a lot of brothers don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct about
Yeah,
that?
that's right. A lot don't know. I didn't know a lot, but I kept my ears to the ground and I listened. And
Wow.
especially with the guys that came before me, they said, "Young blood." That's what you know how they say, "Young blood,
Yeah.
don't stop." If they want you to stop.
Now that's incredible.
You're gonna get to somewhere or somebody that's gonna say, "Hey, this is what I'm gonna do for you," and
Mm-hmm.
that's what it came to.
Hmm.
And with your education benefits, your housing benefits, all those necessary things. And I even tell one of my own blood brothers, look here, you have to go and do the footwork.
Right.
It's not going to just come and drop in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. But you go up there, you make that claim, you keep making that claim, like Brother Johnny said. Uh, you don't appeal it, they're gonna push it back. Keep pushing that claim in. After a while, you're gonna wear them down, and that's
Right.
what you need to do.
Mm, mm, mm. Dr. Demery, I want you to expound on something. Oh, but also, I would just want to make a comment too. Yeah, I've been to Dr. Demery's church, man, and he's right. He will feed you the word. Then afterward, you might get some collard greens.
That's
That's
what's up.
that's a true story, right? I went to his one of his services on Sunday, and of course, I'm a bachelor, so I hate cooking anyway. And I said, "Chef, boy, this was such a treat. We had a full blown meal after that." Collard greens, and I forgot what the staple. I mean, what the meat was or what it was. Let's see, mac and cheese. Uh, he had pie. He had cake there. Oh my goodness! I said, "Shucks, this is real cool." So, but,
You
but
have
Doc,
any more room at the table?
There's always room at the table, brother. My God will turn back nobody.
There it
oh,
is.
oh,
There it is.
he now he doesn't operate a mega church. It is a small but quaint and welcoming atmosphere that you go to, right? It is really a great experience there. Okay, in Mentone, California. If you guys never heard of Mentone, that's because there's no stoplight.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
There's no there's no stoplight there in Mentone. Where's Brother Johnny? Yeah, okay. I think we got him now. He's back.
Yeah,
Brother
we're back.
Johnny's back. Okay, but anyway, no. But Dr. Demery, so, something also that you said, and I thought this before you said it. Now, Dr. Dimmer has been with me about 8 years, and like I say, he does the Boomerang Radio Show. He's all at one time it was just he and I on the Boomerang on Sundays, and we talk about things just like we're discussing today. But we haven't talked about veterans to this detail yet on that show, but we will. But we also talk about mental health,
Yeah.
and it is absolutely incredible. Think about this: those of us who are civilians,
Mm-hmm.
we go through mental issues ourselves. But can you imagine piling trauma on top of that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Okay. Can you imagine piling an injury on top of that?
mm,
Okay. That does not help your mental conditions. It does not. It can't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because both of them work hand in hand. And that's what I was saying about the military. How could they miss this? And Tanisha, I think you talked about this, that they concentrate on the physical,
Mm-hmm.
but not the mental. When how you gonna leave one? They
mm.
they work together. It
They
doesn't
work
make
together.
any sense. So
Right.
Tanisha, go on. We've got about 7 minutes. I'm sorry.
Oh, it does. It really does when I think about that too as well. And I was thinking about the veterans or the people that are actually are seeking housing, the unhoused. I think that they've been through so much trauma that they don't have the energy to continue to move on. Like you said, they gave up because they're still dealing with they're still at the height and the high level of trauma when it comes to the military. So even the simple task of filling out paperwork and application becomes overwhelming for them. That's what I'm starting to see too when I work
Hmm.
with my veterans.
Hmm. Hmm.
Let me share this with you, William. Of course, you know your nephew, my son. He's a captain in the army,
Yep.
and he.
I'm proud of him. Marcus
I,
Brown.
I am as well. He's top notch as far as I'm concerned. But he has witnessed some of his troops commit suicide.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you talking about mental health.
Yep.
Military is starting to really
Oh
catch
no.
up with
Mm-hmm.
looking at their troops closely because they forget these young people are coming from regular places just like everybody else. Some are bringing the baggage with them, and on top of that, they don't know how to deal with military. They're not as structured. I can't say they are as structured as we were when we were growing up
No.
because we were disciplined from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Now you got these young people going into a disciplined situation and don't know how to handle it, and they're forced to. Um, and they have looked at it where nowadays they do not even want to yell at these young troops in basic training, afraid that they may freak out.
That's
and
true.
some okay on top of that. But just recently, one of his troops under his command committed suicide, and he's seen and known of too many of these things happening from time to time. Can you imagine what's going on through his mind?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
he's carrying around these things too.
Hey,
They
Clayton, let me
wondering
ask you real quick.
what could we have done to prevent this?
Right.
Probably nothing.
Hey, Clayton, let me
Okay,
ask you a question real quick. Let me ask you a
okay.
question. He was also, was it a year or two ago that he was somewhere, was it in Japan or he was somewhere where something broke out in a nightclub and a lot of people died and he was there, right?
He
Also,
was he was in Korea.
he was in Korea. He was trying to help them.
Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, he was trying to revive. Uh, there was something happened in Korea, and he was trying to revive one of the people, but they didn't make it.
Now, for
And
any person,
those
for
type of things cause PTSD.
I can understand that.
You
Mm-hmm.
never can shake it. Go ahead, sister. I hear you talking.
It's like a revisiting of it too. So
Yeah,
it'll activate. It can be a trigger. Those are considered triggers right there too as well. So yeah, I can understand that.
Yep, yep. Hey, Johnny, I want you. We got a few minutes left to go. I want you to jump right on in there. Okay.
Yeah, what he's saying is with his son and your nephew. Now he could be fine one minute. He could be watching TV and something show, and he visits. It comes back. That trauma comes right back to him. So it's like he never gets over it. And
Mm-hmm.
then for him being on active duty, I mean, whereas we are veterans now, we can get help and we can come home and just chill out and relax. He can't relax because he's still on active duty. So he still has to perform his duties, even
Mm-hmm.
under mental
Yes, sir.
stress. He still has to perform his duties.
yeah.
Right. And being a captain already at that age too, that's a lot of pressure, Dr. Demery. That is a lot of pressure there. And you've witnessed a lot of tragic events. I think you've been around the world at least two times, if not more than that. And so uh, I want your take because we've got 3 minutes. I want your take on the stress and the trauma that our brave soldiers go through. And the
Well, I will
go on.
be very brief because I don't want to take up anybody else's time. But one of the things that I try to do is when I interact with a veteran who is going through some difficult times, and like I said, the load is heavy, I grab both of their hands and I look them in the face and I say, you know, you will get through this,
Hmm.
and God will be with you. And
Mm-hmm.
no matter what happens, you know, I always tell them, you know, remember that God is still on the throne and prayer changes things.
Hallelujah.
And so I try to empower them first from a spiritual base because we know that not all, but many of the mental illnesses that we have been discussing, and this is a little controversial, but that's okay. You can agree or disagree, are demonically infused.
Mm-hmm.
And we know this
Mm,
to be true, that there's a great part of mental illness that is aligned with demonic forces. And so I try to, first of all, deal with the spiritual base to empower them spiritually and
Mm-hmm.
get them on track that way, and then deal with some of the other traumatic forces. I mean, you know, I don't really have a lot of PTSDs. I should, because I remember, just to tell you one quick story. When we first went into Kuwait, one of the things that was traumatic for all of us, and I sat down and I had a church service afterwards. When we went into um, Kuwait, the bodies that were burning inside of the tanks.
Oh
And when
no.
you ever smell a human body burning, that will be infused into your memory, into your soul, and into your spirit. We know that smell is the strongest sense tied to memory.
mm,
And when I smell certain things burning, that kind of invigorates that whole process. So, to end with this, I think you've got to begin from a spiritual base. Jesus is on the main line. Tell him what you
What you
want.
want?
And I think once you begin there and you allow yourself to establish a spiritual base, and then I also say this too, and I promise I'll end with this. You know, the preachers are guilty of saying, "Well, as I take my seat," but one of the things that I tell folks when you pray, pray for things specifically. Say, Lord, get that thing out of my way and put people in my life that are going to enhance me. Whoever, whatever that may be, put the people in my path that I need to guide me and lead me where I need to go. So when you pray for
Amen.
things specifically, um, God will guide you and lead you. So, the spiritual base for me is important. And I'm sorry I broke out in the song. I'll break out in the song in a minute. But I think that we have to establish the fact that once you lay down that spiritual base, because we as a people are very spiritual.
Yes, we are.
We
Mhm.
are very
Yeah.
empowered and close to God. So once we do this first, then we begin to look at all of the other systems, all of the other processes that can advocate for us. Uh,
Uh-huh.
the VA systems, all of the processes, and I truly believe this. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right, and you will
Yeah.
get through it if you stay persistent and be almost to the point, like I said before, be a pest, not to the point where you lose advocacy, but that you are persistent and you have to self advocate. I'm sorry, William, I didn't mean to go too long.
No, that's all right. No, I wouldn't have it any other way. And that's why this program, we want to, Clayton
Yeah.
and Tanisha and Robert will tell you that this is what this program is all about. We want to educate, we want to uplift, and we want to inspire. So, and you're exactly right, Dr. Dimmer. Inspiration. I remember real quick. I'm gonna take. Well, I talked to the CEO. He said I could go over a minute or so. But anyway, uh, he said, I remember Dr. Dimmer and I, we were in the meal course, and Dr. Dimmer plays the upright bass. He's also a musician. And I remember when I would get up to sing a solo, he said, Brother Brown, just throw your head back and holler. And I would get up there and I would belt it out, man. But it inspired me because I knew I had a brother behind me, and the rest is history. Because I
Mhm.
remember one Sunday or one day I said, I want to invite you over. I want you to co-host my Boomerang radio show with me. And he came right over, and we first started playing his sermon, and then afterwards he spent another hour with me, and we would have what we call the Boomerang. And now the panel has grown to about 6 people now. But anyway, Dr. Dimmer was the first with me. Let's see, Libby, where is Johnny? Did Johnny go?
I'm
Would
here.
you- Oh, hey, Johnny.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see you on the screen here. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. Any final thoughts?
Um, it was very informative today, and I hope that we can meet again. Because I'm like Clayton. I like sharing information. Um, for example, I met a young gentleman this past Saturday. He
Hmm.
didn't know anything about getting VA benefits, so I passed on, contact eligibility at the VA, get your ID card, and go to the DAV. And if you need any help from me, just to let me know. So it's all about sharing information, passing it on to other people. Because, like the word said, a person perishes for the lack of knowledge. If you don't know how to do something, you'll never be able to do it. Somebody have to show you. So teach one,
Amen.
one.
Amen.
Okay. You know what? I want you guys to come back, and I'm going. As a matter of fact, I want the whole panel to come back. I may even put all of us on the same platform. Like I said, Dr. Dimmer and I, we have a show called The Boomerang on Sundays. We have space for 10. And so normally we have, okay, we're going to do this. Okay. This is so vitally important to me. And I have to reiterate that I've never been in the military, but I'm an advocate for our veterans. I know what it means, even though I haven't served myself, but I have 3 brothers that serve. I have a cousin that served. He was Clayton is a master sergeant. I have a cousin that's a full-blown colonel. I have a granddaughter right now that's I think she's up for sergeant out there. And the weapon she carries around is bigger than she is. But I'm proud of
Yeah.
she. Absolutely. I have a nephew that's in the military. I am so proud of him, Captain Marcus Brown. So I'm from a proud military family. And so, if you mess with a family member, you mess with me. You know what I'm saying? Just like all of us. Don't mess with my family. They went out there and put their lives on the line for you, so you better not mess with them. So we have to bring them back. Dr. Dimmer, thank you so much. Tanisha, thank you. Brother Hicks, uh, I've been inspired. I've been inspired by this program right here. We've got to do this again. And it's something that we really, really need to pay attention to because a lot of veterans are going unnoticed, you
Mhm.
know, uh, with so much they gave back to society. Brother Hicks, any final thoughts? Then we go to Tanisha and we'll close it out.
I want to say thank you very much for being on the show tonight. And I'll definitely say one of the mantras of mine, and actually it was brought up here today, is Philippians 4 and 13. And I feel that that pretty much is the idea that everybody should carry with them, that you can get through whatever it is you're going through as long as you have Christ, God in your heart, and also realizing that God works through other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
By
Yes, sir.
talking through other people and being able to just be in, for lack of a better term, fellowship. That basically the idea of being around each other and being able to work things out, talk things out. That's the way that we get through it. And everybody can get through something. If there's a challenge that man or money cannot fix, it's not really a challenge.
Amen. Tanisha?
And I was going to say, you always activate the Holy Spirit. That's what the Holy Spirit's there. It's on standby for you. That's one thing. And I just want to say, simplify to everyone too. And that's pretty much it for the show for me.
It's been great. Gentlemen, Johnny, Clayton, Dr. Demery, I can't thank you guys enough. This has been a great show. I absolutely loved it. You guys can find it on YouTube. That's Studio W The Buzz. It's on Spotify. That's a Buzz Jams 2. I believe it's Buzz Jams 2. Buzz Jams 2 on Spotify, Alexa, Google Play, Apple CarPlay, also the website. You can check out the show. It's in entirety on the website. That is www.studiow.buzz. So your friends can go back. It will be under featured shows and archive shows. Okay, it'll be up in about 24 hours. Okay, that's www.studiow.buzz, BUZZ. Guys, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much and enjoy your evening. And Dr. Demery, or you're always here. Clayton, you're here as well. You guys got to come back. You guys have to come back because there's so much information that we can share with our audience. And so we're going to do what we can.